General Waldhauser, we just, as you and I discussed in my office, Senator Rounds and I just returned from several areas in your command, and you know, when you stop and look at it, it seems like it's been shorter than that, but it's been 10 years since we started AFRICOM, and AFRICOM the continent used to be divided in 3 different commands. Now, since that time, I think we've had a lot of successes. General Rodriguez, one of your predecessors, said, Africa is an enduring interest to the United States, and its importance will continue to increase as African economies, population, and influence grow. Do you agree with that statement?
Senator, I do.
And it wasn't long ago when Chuck Wald had the job that you have right now. He talked about the significance of Phase Zero. He actually wrote an article about the Phase Zero campaign. Why is Phase Zero important, and how does it apply to AFRICOM? Could you make any comments about that?
Senator, thank you. What I would say to that question is that the ability to engage with the population and have such exercises and engagements with agencies as was previously described, things like education, healthcare, jobs for the significant youth bulge that's in Africa is very, very important. We've got to get at these drivers that make these individuals, young men especially, want to join groups like Al-Shabaab. And in order to get at that part of the problem, we need to be engaged with education, healthcare, jobs, and the like. And
to preclude something from happening,
headed
off at the pass, and I would agree with that. We're also in Afghanistan, General Votel, and we met with our service members and, of course, the new president and General Nicholson. And I think maybe we might be, in my opinion, because I might be influenced by the fact that I knew the new president's predecessor, and there's no comparison. It's summing up kind of what General Nicholson said. I'll read this. A need for a long-term coalition commitment to Afghanistan, need for increased coalition forces for training and assisting the Afghan military, the strength and the commitment of the Afghan people who want to take their country back from the insurgents, shifting the focus to winning versus not losing. The high casualty rate among Afghan forces, the increase in territory controlled by the Taliban, the importance of cutting the Taliban's access to financing their operations. Do you pretty much agree with his assessment with what the situation is there?
I do, Senator.
And do you think that maybe when we get some of these less than optimistic reports in these committee hearings that we have, that you get a little bit different idea when you're actually there? And one of the things that I think we're not factoring in enough would be the President Ghani. And I kind of I'd like to have your idea as to what a difference that can make. Because I can remember sitting there with his predecessor and then evaluating the situation, what his commitment is right now, and what he really believes his people are going to be able to do.
Senator, I absolutely agree with you. I do think we cannot overestimate the strategic advantage of having a leader like President Ghani in place. His willingness to partner, his visionary ideas about this, and his general approach to bringing the coalition on board, I think, have been very good, and I think they provide us a very good opportunity to build upon.
All right, with him and with your experience from the last fighting season that we had, since we're coming up now to the next fighting season, do you have any projection as to differences we might see with that leadership and where we are right now?
I think that we will continue to see very steady leadership from President Ghani and his government through the next fighting season. I think the challenge that we will have will be sustaining the Afghan forces as they move forward. They have, as you have noted, as others have noted, they have absorbed a lot of casualties, and yet they've been resilient through that. But there is a need to ensure that they get into a normal operational cycle that allows them to recover, to rebuild themselves, to reset themselves, and then get back into the fight. And I think that as we move forward, that will be the challenge that General Nicholson and I will have to manage.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, and I think that there is an effect that the new president has on the fighting troops over there, on theirs, that will yield a better performance. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.